known as one of the top horse trainers in the whole world. What he used to do is he used to train race horses for tracks, right? In fact, he was so good that he trained Jay Leno's horses for the racetrack. Now, in, I believe it was Stettler, Alberta, they had a horse that was preparing to be trained for the track, but this horse had serious challenges, and it wouldn't obey anyone. So my Uncle Danny went out there, and he started working with this horse. And a couple weeks into it, it started to look like there was progress. His horse was now beginning to cooperate. It was doing the things it was told. Things looked good. But one morning as he went to go and brush the horse and comb the horse, he got too close to the backside of the horse, and the horse became frightened, and the horse reared its back legs and kicked him with both feet right with him. My uncle fell backwards, of course, and lay motionless. The other workers that was there quickly moved the horse so he wouldn't get further trampled, but it really looked quite desperate. They called the Stars helicopter. The Stars copter came and picked him up and took him to the Rocky View, hooking him up the whole time as he was going to every machine that they could imagine that would preserve his life. Well, when he got to the Rocky View, it was about then that my family got a call and was invited to come down and see my Uncle Danny for what might be the last time. So we went down there, and as we got there, one of the doctors met us, and he said, "It's not looking good. He's in a coma right now. He will probably have brain damage, but he will certainly be blind for the rest of his life." So we went and we saw him, and of course our family gathered and prayed that all would be well, but nothing changed that day. In fact, nothing changed for 6 weeks. There was no change at all. But after 6 weeks, he awoke from the coma, and the doctor said he didn't have brain damage, but a lot of our family disputes that still. You know, it's my uncle, he's a little weird, like me, right? But in fact, he was blind now. He would be blind for the rest of his life, right? And so I remember talking to him quite a few times about this new experience of being blind. Coming blind now into a world that's built for people like you and me with sight, right? And there were all kinds of new challenges that he faced. Challenges like, you know, you've got a hot stove and you've got maybe a pot on there and you're maybe not sure where the element is. You're burning yourself. Can you imagine that? Or maybe this, walking out into a busy city street to find which way you're going and get disoriented and not remember where the traffic was or where the street was that you came from. It's happened to him several times. Or how about losing your car keys? Now, a blind guy wouldn't do that, though, would he? Car keys. To see if you're paying attention. But in all seriousness, actually, here's a funny joke. We know Brian Henninger, right? And he goes up to Brian Henninger and goes, "Here, I'm here to do a test drive." Yeah, didn't go over well. Anyways, but in all seriousness, we lose stuff. I remember when I lose my car keys or something in my house, I get all my kids looking for it, my wife's looking for it, and everything else, and then I check my jacket and remind everybody, I don't even know. It's kind of embarrassing, but you got to do that sometimes. But can you imagine with a blind person now? Putting something down somewhere that you really desperately need, and now not knowing where it is, and not even being able to see. I mean, it could be sitting this far from you and you're feeling it, you just don't see it. So he's had all these new things that he's had to learn, but here's the point that I think is interesting to me. Is one day we were sitting down and he says to me, "Dougie," and he calls me Dougie, right? He goes, "I know you talk to a lot of people about, you know, personal development and all these kind of things. I'm going to share with you something that might be useful to you." So I'm listening, you know, getting ready to hear, and he tells me about all these experiences that he went through, all these challenges. He says, "But there's one thing that I've learned. One thing that I've learned through this that's been more valuable than anything." Do you know what he says to me? He says, "Vision isn't about what you see. Vision is about what you believe. Vision isn't about what you see. Vision is about what you believe." Now, we'll talk more about belief in a little bit today, but what was his greatest moment now? What was his greatest moment? Was it all happening before he lost his sight? Was it the moment he lost his sight? Was it the moment that he realized that's what vision was? Well, you remember in the film we talked about what the greatest moment for everybody is. The greatest moment is the one that's going to have the most impact on you and those around you, the one that will have the most consequences, and the one that will be for the longest time. And that moment, of course, is decision. That moment is decision, because decision will change everything. So for my Uncle Danny, it may have been the moment that he decided to embrace the idea of being blind and look for the gift in it. Look for the gift in it.